So how often do you think about perception? How often do you think about your reality compared to the reality? And how often do you actually consider maybe how your perception changes your world around you? What's even more amazing is that the way you interpret your reality governs how you work, how you run, how your body operates.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah.
It is. That was my throat. My throat didn't work.
That's why I didn't work at all.
No, my throat didn't work. Here's a really cool example. If two people have the same event but they interpret it differently, their body will actually release different chemicals. For example, let's just say that Pam and I are down the beach and there's some nice big waves, which I love, which Pam doesn't love.
I like looking at them.
I was looking, yeah, she loves waves from a distance. So if you're out there, I'm body surfing, I'm loving the experience, you know, adrenaline's released, endorphins are released, all these sort of chemicals, natural chemicals are released in my body to actually ultimately sort of fight illness, to boost my immune system. They're like good happy cells.
Yeah, whereas mine would be fear-based. Mine would be, am I going to survive this? Am I going to drown and die? So mine would be stress. I would be in fight and flight, and certainly my body wouldn't be fed any nutrient whatsoever. It would be switched off and just ready to run.
Oh, we didn't bring a full battery. I can't believe that.
Oh, really?
3 batteries.
Oh my God.
I brought a non-full battery.
Oh, bummer.
So are you ready to step into a new stage of being? So what changes do you have to make? Making the change of perception is one of them. Successful people are people who are very aware, they observe, they listen. And that makes the difference from getting a real clear perception of something or just jumping in and responding, just reacting in a way where you don't get a clear perception. You're actually making up your own perception of an event. Many people say that you need to awaken your soul, but I feel our soul is wide awake and it's just there waiting for us to take some time to listen, to actually observe and listen. Because our soul is there to guide us, to show us, to let us know why we're here.
Just always be aware that the way you perceive things is your perception only, that there is not one event with one reality. There's one event with multiple realities.
Don't presume you know what another person is thinking. We make that mistake a lot in our relationships with friends or with strangers. We respond to people presuming we know what they're thinking. We feel judgment based on our own judgment, and that can really blur your vision. So you've already focused in on the wrong area. You've thought that perhaps that person feels ill towards you, and they don't necessarily at all. It's your perception of it, and that can ruin relationships, friendships, It's better to communicate, to be open with one another, than just to have that perception. Some people just live with perceptions. They never communicate, don't open up and say what they're feeling and thinking. It's so important to say how you feel, to say what you think, so that that person can clear up any misperception that's happening. Because everyone has a different perception of one event. Even if it's a crime scene where there's been a terrible crime, everyone will have a different perception of what went on. So day to day, you really need to communicate well in order to be able to perceive things from other people's points of view as well as your own, and have a clearer picture.
So, baby, a question.
Yeah.
Why do you think people live with so much fear?
Well, fear is something that we are born into, whether it's through our mothers in utero. When we were born, obviously there's a chemical reaction there because we're part of our mums. So we do take on our mother's fear because we take on everything through our mum while we're in utero. So that's where fear begins. But then we're born into a very fear-based world. And life has been based on that, very fear-based scarcity, self-protection, whatever. Over the years and years, our ancestry based on real survival. Whatever it is, we have had fear. But fear has grown, it's escalated to a place where we feel stressed and fearful over the smallest things. And that plays a big role in how we live, how we feel, our health and well-being. So stress is something that plays out for us in everyday life because of our fear-based thinking. And that fear-based thinking at the moment is almost come to a stage where it's at its peak, and we're realizing we've done a lot of damage to the planet as human beings, and there's a lot to be done to heal that. And our fear is coming to a head at the moment when we have had a lot of transitions, obviously changes in the world that in the system part of things, we are going to see a lot of change, a lot of different events are going to be coming up, and there's a lot of fear around that because it's the unknown. So a lot of our fear-based thinking is not just around the external and how we were brought up and our parents' programming, schools, just the environment in which you're in, which is very fear-based thinking, but also we fear the unknown, and that's something which then produces more of the same. So our focus being fearing the unknown produces more and more of that same chemical in our body. So that day to day, there's an underlying fear there, and it's something we need to recognize, something we need to look at and understand within the self, so that we can convert that and turn it into something that can actually feed us and sustain us, instead of something that basically can make you sick and live in that stress mode, which is so unhealthy. So the fear-based thinking, I feel, is something that's in transition at the moment. It's maybe come to a place where there's a lot of unrest and there's more fear, but I feel like that fear is making us more conscious. And if you're a person who understands that within yourself, you can become a more conscious being.